Hello Milky friends, it is Milkstool here with you for another Idle Heroes video. I hope you continue to be safe. For those of you who are interested, I am still unemployed. It is day 60, no, it's 71 of unemployment and it's going great. I've had so much time on my hands, I've done something that I thought I would never bring myself to, and that is I've built a simulator, a very sophisticated gaming simulator for what I'm about to talk through today, and that is IMP's Adventure or IMP's Monopoly. I haven't made a video on this event and the numbers behind it because it's quite challenging. It's not like a normal spending event where you spend this much and you get this amount of stuff, right? The problem with this event is there's a two-part probability type situation because you get it's hard to model the outcome of this game simply because one, there's an element of chance involved with the dice, and then there's an element of chance in terms of what you hit upon on this Monopoly board, because there are some squares that give you benefit, like these additional lucky dice or normal dice, but then there are also huts that sort of hamper your progress around this board, like for example this Karma hut, and to an extent this Fortune hut as well. It's got good and bad stuff, but I've tended to have gotten more bad stuff than good stuff. But for those of you who are new to this game and what this adventure is about, the point is you basically are trying to go around the board as many times as you can, because each time you pass one of these mushroom huts, these starry mushroom huts, you acquire stars. And why do you need stars? You need stars to basically get these chests, and within each chest there's things that you can get out of them. The first two rewards aren't chests, so the first reward is just scrolls, which is nice. The second one is Elite 5-star Hero Shard, and then it goes limited skin and puppet, and selecting a 5-star hero of your choice, which is nice. This is effectively, this 5-star hero selection chest, it's effectively a feather. That's what it is, because if you can select basically any hero you want from any faction, that's effectively as valuable as a feather. So that's a feather. This is basically up to 60 feathers. This one is just materials, which I don't know why they don't give this away first. I honestly would prefer this material, or people, this is probably less valuable than say picking the hero that you want. And then as you go on to the 260 and 300 chests, which no one will ever get, not unless you spend a considerable sum of money. Yeah, that's what you get for the stars in terms of, you every time you go over the mushroom hut or you go past the mushroom hut, you get stars. That's basically the premise of the game. If you actually land on the mushroom huts, you upgrade the huts to a high level. A high level gives you more stars, and it caps out at 3. So this thing starts out level 1. At level 1, this mushroom hut gives you 3 stars every time you pass it. If it upgrade it to level 2, it gives you 4 stars. Level 3, which it caps out at, it gives you 5 stars. So you basically want to hit these mushroom huts at least twice in the game. And so, like I said, because of the two-plane randomness involved, one with the dice and one in terms of where you land, which squares you land on, it was incredibly hard to model this game. I saw someone try to do it on Reddit, and he showed conditional probabilities and distributions of outcomes, and that's absolutely the right way to do it. But who the fuck's going to look at that? It's absolutely going to take all the fun away, and it's basically going to be way too complex for you to be able to make any decisions. So I've sort of done a bit of that, and I'm going to try and distill it down to make it as simple as possible for you to understand. So what I've done is I've basically built a Monte Carlo simulator, and what this simulator does, it basically simulates, depending on how many dice you have in the game, it simulates how many stars you're expected to get. So for example, if you just you didn't do shelter mission to get the extra 5 stars associated with upgrading these heroes, or getting these heroes, not upgrading these heroes, but getting these heroes out, and you didn't buy any more stars here for 1,500, no, not 1,500, 150 gems per ordinary dice. Is that what it is? Yeah, 150 gems. You can buy up to 30, and you just you log in every day, and you basically get the dice that they give you. I think it's 4 a day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4 a day for 7 days. come on, I've lost it. There we go. You get 28 of those over the course of an event. How many stars can you expect to get? And so basically, I played this game 1,000 times. You have to simulate this like over a number of times because it's like a casino. It's the law of large numbers that you're working with. So basically, I built a simulator and I played this game 1,000 times. And what do the results say? Like, how many stars do you think I'm going to get on average? So if you play this game 1,000 times, which you never will in your lifetime, it'll only come around 12 times a year. So it'll never get there. But if you play this game 1,000 times, and so you can see all the results here. I'm not necessarily sure if you guys want to see the results of the 1,000 simulations, but the summary is this. On average, I played 3 sets of 1,000 games, and every time I played this game, the average was always about 53 stars you would get from the 28 dice, and the median was also about 53 stars. So basically, this suggests that the distribution, for those of you that understand stats, is that it's normally distributed around basically the 53 value. And for those of you that don't know the difference between average and median, average is simply obviously you add all the numbers up and then you divide it by the numbers that you have to get the average. Everyone knows what an average is. Median is the most commonly occurring value. The point is, when you play this game 1,000 times on average, more likely than not, you're going to get around 53 stars from using 28 dice, right? And the max value that you're going to get, and this is only going to happen like 1 out of every 1,000 games, is around 78 to 80, meaning you have absolutely, statistically, basically no chance if you don't do the shelter mission and you don't buy any dice. You basically have a statistically improbable chance of getting this first reward. That's what it basically means, right? So that's the first key thing to note when you look at the results. And then there'll also be, conversely, for the very lucky times, there'll also be 1% of time where you just have just really terrible luck and you're going to end up with 30 stars. You're basically nowhere. So the reality is, the key takeaway is, apart from the fact that you need to spend to actually get anywhere in this game, in this IMP's adventure, whether it's gems or to buy packs, if you just play the free dice, you're going to get absolutely nothing, because on average you're going to get 53 stars when you play the game. Now, I know a lot of you be like, well, Milk Stew, I've spent 28 dice and I've got 57 dice, 58 dice. Guys, this is averages. Like, you got to understand what this distribution means, right? So when I say the average and the median is 53, I'm saying only in 5% of the games that you play, you're going to basically hit the 53 star mark in 5% of those games, right? But in up to 55% of those games, and I'll share this with you, you're going to get 53 stars or less, right? Conversely, if you look at the distribution, around 53, 50% of the time, you're going to get somewhere between 49 and 58 stars, right? So you're not always going to get 53 stars, but I've had to dumb down the math completely. So if you go away and at the end of the reward and you only spend 28 dice and you don't get 53, count yourself lucky if you get more than 53, and count yourself unlucky if you get less than 53. I'm talking about averages and I'm talking about medians. And as long as you understand that concept, please don't comment down below. It's like, oh, Milk Stew, well, I've got 57 dice, or I got 43 dice. Guys, it's completely random. It's a two-plane randomness. The dice and where you land on a Monopoly board, right? So that's the math behind it. I built a simulator, did it 1,000 times, and the average and the median came out the same. So then what I basically did was, I said, okay, let's go through all the different combinations of dice and spend to give you an idea of how many stars you can expect to get. So I did 28 dice, I did 48 dice, which is basically if you do all the shelter missions and you get all the heroes out and you summon those out. I also did 30 purchases by itself because you can only buy up to 30 gems. Then I also did the shelter mission and the 30 purchases that you can get from the IMP's adventure to see what you can expect to get for all that craziness after 78 dice. And then I also did the 78, and then what happens, is it worth buying, for example, this $10 value pack? The answer is no, in short. But basically, I ran the simulator for this combination of dice and this was the average and median. You can see it's basically more or less the same for when I ran that simulation. I also got the max value, which is like a 1 out of 1,000 event, and the min value, which is like a 1 out of 1,000 event. And so the valuable thing to get out of this for me was to see how many stars you get on average per dice that you got. And so, not surprisingly, it goes up and then it sort of just peaks out. And the reason why this is the case is at 28 dice, you're necessarily going to have leveled up all these huts, right, to level 3. And that's why each dice is worth slightly less. And then at some point, once you've leveled up all those huts, and you get it to level 3, which is around somewhere between 58 and 78 dice, right? It's basically each hut is going to give you about each hut is worth 5 stars, and every time you go by it, it's going to be worth about 2.3 gems, and it's probably going to go slowly up and up and up, right? Until it gets very close to 5, but you're never going to have enough dice to get it to approximate 5. The point is, after a certain amount of dice, the incremental value you get from each dice becomes less and less because you've upgraded the huts, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But the key takeaway is each dice is going to give you about 2.3 dice, depending on how many dice you have already used. And that's valuable in helping you plan. So for example, let's say, so here's the so what, right? This is the so what. So let's say you played this game and you've only, you're free to play player, right? I've used all 28 dice. And on average, you're going to get about 53 stars, right? You're going to get pretty close to that mark. 53 gets you 6/10 of fuck all, right? 53 is basically 27-30 short of 80. So that means you have to buy about, if you believe in this math here, the number of stars you get per dice, you're basically going to have to buy, if you're 30 short, so divide by 2, you're going to have to basically buy 15 dice, right? So 15 dice, 15 times that, right? 28 stars, from the 15 dice you're going to get, plus that, the average you're going to get. So if we do that plus that, you're going to get a chest, right? So on average, a free-to-play player to hit the first milestone, the 80 stars, you're going to have to buy 15 dice, right? And so then you're probably doing the math in your head and you're like, Milk, so I see where you're going, right? So the reward is 10 scrolls times 1,125 gems per scroll in terms of value. So you're going to get 1,250 gems worth of value in those 10 scrolls. But then how much did you spend on the incremental dice? You bought 15 dice at 150 a piece, right? So all of a sudden, hang on, you're like, well, Milstu, I just spent 2,250 to get 1,250 worth of scrolls back. I've lost 1,000 gems. So if you're a free-to-play player, chances are you're shit out of luck, right? You're never going to get enough dice to get this first tier reward. And the amount of dice on average you have to spend just to get 80, to get the stars, right? To get 80 makes it not worth it. And so that's how you should think about this analysis. You should basically do, if you're going to do shelter mission, do shelter mission to get the free dice. And then depending on how many stars you end up with, you have to do the math behind, all right, let's say, for example, let's run another scenario. Let's say you do shelter mission, right? You basically get 48 dice. So on average, you're going to end up with about 100 stars from the 48 dice. And so 100 stars means you're going to be 10 short, right? You're going to be 10 short of this elite 5-star hero shard. Now, so if you're 10 short, how many of those how many dice do you need to buy? So if you're 10 short, right, 10 stars short, so 10 divided by 2.1 means I need to buy about 5 dice, right? Because each one I've said is worth about 2.1. So 10 stars short divided by 2.1 means you're going to have to buy 5. You're not going to buy you can't buy 4.7 dice, right? You can't buy 4.7 rolls. So 5 dice times 150 is 750. So then you look at the elite 5-star hero shot and you ask yourself, well, is it really worth 750 gems? And for me, the short answer is no. I think it's closer to 500 because of all the crap that you can get in there. I know they've got this event on right now where you get to pick what's in the elite 5-star hero shard box. it's just not worth. If that elite 5-star hero shard is worth 750 gems to you, by all means, go away and spend the 5 dice to get it. But if it isn't, don't. So that's basically how you do this analysis, and I'll share this with you, or how you think through the numbers that I've just run and put before you. It's a question of, you should absolutely basically use all the free dice that you have in the first instance. So here's a strategy. You should use all the free dice that you've acquired from just what you get every day. So you should basically do this event at basically on the last day. Use the 28 dice that they've given you over this time. Use however many shelter mission how many dice you get from shelter mission, how many you summon at, and it's up to 20. And then depending on where you end up in terms of the stars, because like guys, these numbers here, remember, they're averages, right? So you could get lucky and you can get more than the average I've stipulated here. If you do, then you buy less dice. But basically, you then use the implied stars per dice of 2 stars for each dice purchase to calculate theoretically how many more extra dice you need to purchase, and then you weigh up, depending on what box you're after, how many more dice you should purchase. What's your comfort level, if that makes sense, right? So that's how I would think through using this analysis that I've done for you. 2 stars per dice. And depending on how many dice you use, this is the average number of, I guess, stars you can expect from those number of dice that you utilize throughout the game. So I basically did the shelter mission and I bought all 30 gems. I'm going to probably end up with 177 stars, and so I'm probably going to get this again. It's the same as last time. I always knew I was never going to get 200. I knew it was a bit sus, and I think they've done out the math, right? I think they want you to buy out all the dice to get this 6-star chest, which is this. And in hindsight, that seems kind of silly. Again, I wish I kind of waited and didn't buy all 30 dice. I should have just bought as many as I needed to get 170 stars. But the math suggests you probably need to buy all 30 to get anywhere close to getting the 6-star puppet chest. So then you're probably asking, well, Milk Stew, I did the shelter mission. Is the leap from 48 to 78 actually really worth it? What do you get in between? Because those 30 dice that I bought for 4,500 gems, am I getting 4,500 gems worth of value, right? So let's do the math. So a 6-star puppet is 6-star puppet is effectively what, like 6 heroes? If I do the math, just double check. If we go here, yeah, it's 6 heroes. So 6 heroes times 500 gems per 5-star shard, 3,000, right? So this theoretically is worth 3,000 gems. So then this limited skin, how much is that worth? And that, based on the campaign value, is worth, I have to go to my other spreadsheet, apologize. How much are the skins worth? The skins are worth 1875. So 3,500 plus 1875 cost, and then benefit. So yeah, on average, it is worth it. On average, if assuming you've done the shelter mission, like all the shelter mission, and you're asking yourself, well, should I go for gold milk stool? Should I then, spend up to 30 gems or buy up to 30 gems at 150 gems per dice? Sorry, should I buy 30 dice and spend up to 4,500 gems at 150 gems per dice to get both the skin chest as well as the puppet chest? Statistically, on average, you should come out on top, right? And I would say yes. And you should buy 20 in the first instance just to see where the dice get you, and then slowly just buy one at a time until you basically get 170 stars. Because at 177 stars, you've basically effectively wasted up to 3 dice, so 450 gems. So I didn't really need to buy 30. I only needed to buy 27 dice statistically on average to get all the rewards. And so if I do the math there, I sort of end up with a profit of 1325 gems rather than the 800 and so before, because I've spent 450 less gems to basically get there. So then the next piece of analysis is probably around, well, Milk Stool, I've got the 78 dice, I've bought all 30, and I've done the shelter mission. How do I get the next level of reward? Because I'm only around 177 stars right now. Should I go for gold? Is it worth buying incremental dice either from the value packs or from this adventure pack to basically get the this chest here, which is worth so like I said, this chest is effectively 60 feathers because you can pick any hero that you want. That's non-light and dark. So 60 feathers is about what was it? 60 feathers is worth about, if we clear this away, so 60 feathers is worth about 50 gems a piece. So 60 times 50, and I got the value from last week's event. It's actually about 48, but rounding up. So then that chest, or 60 feathers, is worth about 2,880 gems. So then the question is, how many more dice do I need on average? And at 177, you probably need about 10 dice. Yeah. 10 times 23 plus 177 is about 200. So you probably need another 10 dice to get the 200 chest, right? So the only way you can get 10 dice is basically from this adventurous pack, or buying this rip-off pack, or like 2 to 3 of these, right? So let's just say, should I buy this adventurous pack? Am I going to get the value out of it? So then in the adventurous pack, costs $20. You're going to get 1,500 gems. You're going to get 30 scrolls at 125 gems per scroll. So 3,750 gems worth of scrolls. And then we've said this was 2,880. All right. So if we redo the math, that divided by that divided by that. So basically, if you believe that chest is worth 3,000 gems, and you sort of, on average, if you're at 177 stars or over, then chances are that value pack is probably going to be worth buying, because it's going to come out, when you do the math in terms of what you get, the 1,500 gems, 3,157 scrolls, as well as the ability to get that chest that gives you any hero that you want. Effectively 60 feathers, right? You're going to get 8,130 gems worth of goodies. And 8,130, when 20 divided by 8,130, it comes out at 2.5 cents per gem in terms of the cost per gem. And when you compare it with all the other events out there in terms of value, typically in terms of when they give these special event packages and you're trying to work out whether or not it's worth buying, typically the value I look for is somewhere between 0.2 of a cent per gem and 0.3 of a cent per gem, right? So it falls around this mark if you believe the value of that chest is about 2,880 gems. If it's not worth it to you, then you got to update this math here, and whatever it is, this number will change. So let's say, I don't know, you say that chest is only worth 1,000, right? The cost per gem goes up because you're getting less gems. That chest is worth less to you. So at 2.5 cents, it's probably worth it because it's certainly within the range that I look for. Like I said, between 0.2 of a cent per gem and 0.3 of a cent per gem is typically really good value. And so I would say, if the law of averages are on your side, you've done Shelter Mission, you've done the 30 purchases, and you're at 177 stars or greater, and you'll probably only need 10 more to get after that, then by all means, buy this adventure pack. But if the stars aren't on your side, and you're at less than 177 stars after spending 78 dice, I'd probably say don't buy the Adventurous Pack. There's just too much RNG involved. It's not a certainty. That's the problem. You could get 200. You could get way more than 200. I could be wrong. But, you know, if you're kind of a gambling person, you want to run with it, as opposed to being, for me, you know, I need certainty, then don't do it. So, no, there was a lot of math involved in this video. I hope you found it useful. The key takeaway is, look, if you're going to play this game, if you're only going to spend 28 gems, if you're only going to use, you're free to play, and you're only going to use your 28 dice, you're shit out of luck. You're going to get nothing out of this event. Statistically, 1 out of every 1,000 games, you might get lucky and you might get the 10 scrolls. But the reality is you do need to do a bit of shelter mission to get the incremental dice, to get enough stars to get the 10 scrolls, right? And that's all kind of free in inverted commas, because shelter mission technically isn't free. You are sacrificing a 5-star hero plus bits of a 5-star hero to get another 5-star hero. Yes, you would argue you also get the armor as well, but okay, leaving that aside, basically you need to do shelter mission to have any chance of getting this heroic scroll. And then if you want the elite 5-star hero shot, you probably have to spend some gems to buy more dice to get there. Then you're asking yourself, you know, is it worth spending the incremental gems to get more dice? It depends on where you are after you've spent the however many dice you spent, because then the rule of thumb is each dice is worth about somewhere between 1.9 2.3 stars per dice, depending on how many dice you've already spent. Because remember, you need to have upgraded those imp huts. So if you know, if you're here, you've spent 48 dice, right, and all your imp huts are upgraded, chances are each dice going forward is worth about 2.3. But if those huts have not been upgraded to level 3, so these huts here, and they're still on level 2 or level 1 because you're super unlucky, then I would say each dice is going to give you, it's going to be worth less stars. So you're probably closer to the 1.9 range. And so that's how you should think about and use these numbers. You're looking at basically this row, and you're basically looking at this row in terms of determining whether or not you should buy more dice, and then working out, well, how many dice do I really need to purchase to get that next tier of reward? I'm probably going to get a lot more questions having gone through this video, because I'm convinced I haven't explained it well enough. If you have any questions, comment down below, and if it's too complex to answer, I'll do another video, a follow-up video to try and explain this a bit better. The last thing I'll leave you on is, in the simulator, I didn't do the lucky dice strategy, which is basically, if you get a lucky dice, basically, then you're really lucky for 2 reasons. One, it's going to allow you to generate or get even more dice, right? And get an even higher score. And so the way you should use lucky dice is basically, if you are within 6 dice of this lucky hut, you should basically use the lucky dice to get another lucky dice, and therefore extend, getting more lucky dice in that way basically gives you artificially more dice, and more dice theoretically gives you more points, right? That's how you should use lucky dice if you get it. And on average, how many lucky dice can you expect from playing the game? I didn't actually include it in my summary table, but what I did count was, so if you play this game 1,000 times, on average, you should get 1 extra normal dice and 1 extra lucky dice, is what the stats say. If you have 28 dice, and obviously if you have more dice, you're expected to get more and more and more. And so I've already got like 3 of these and 1 of these, but like I said, it's random. It's not guaranteed. More often than not, you're probably going to get nothing. But on average, play this game 1,000 times. More often than not, you're going to get at least 1 lucky dice and 1 ordinary dice from the 28 dice that you get for free, right? And from that, you can use it to generate even more dice and theoretically even more stars. Anyway, that's it from me. I know this was a super long video. I had to explain it step by step, otherwise people would get lost and not see the logic. Hope you found it useful. Thanks, and have a great week ahead.